Welcome to The Girl Herd,
where we talk Texas football.
and a bunch of takes you've probably already heard.
But not from us. Hi, y'all. We're back with the second installment of the Coach series. This week, we are heading to the defensive side of the ball with defensive lineman coach Marquay from Langham Creek High School. Quay, tell us a little bit about yourself. Start from the beginning of your football career to today.
So I'm from, first of all, thank you, Girl Herd, to be able to put me on this platform, to be able to share my experience and my coaching philosophy and how it came from, how football was involved in my life. So I really do appreciate you taking the time. For me, football started for me in Crowley, Texas, not Fort Worth, we call it Funky Town, but it started in Crowley, Texas, a small town, 4A program. That's kind of where I started my football career. Little to know that football wasn't my first sport, my love sport, which was basketball. My daddy was very important in my life, along with my mother, very important in my life. But my daddy forced me to play the game. I did not want to do it. I wanted to play basketball. Because at that time, Charles Barkley, the Shaquille O'Neal, like that era of basketball was fun. And my daddy forced a hand on that, and it has been the best choice for me. So I started my career off at Crowley High School. Was a letterman for 3 years. I would say 2.5. I kind of go in details of why, but you can say that I was a 3-year starter there, basketball and football. Had an opportunity to get a football scholarship at the University of Houston, where I played underneath Art Browse. Small story, I played against Art Browse. Some of the staff for Art Browse at Stephenville. They was at Stephenville High School, so that's kind of how we kind of got my name out there, because it's a little bit different back then, because newspaper is what got you out there, all right? Not the social media. We didn't have all that, right? We barely even we didn't even have a flip phone at that time, all right? I think it was a sidekick at that time. But Stephenville, playing them those 3 years kind of put my name out there at the University of Houston. I had Iowa State, also had North Texas, but obviously U of H was the place for me just because of my uncle played there. And that's kind of how my career got started, is out of Crowley, Texas. With that being said, my daddy was a big part of that, along with my mother, again, was a big part of that, because my daddy installed that self-motivation, that drive that I have now. And I'll kind of go into the details of that later, but that's kind of how my career kind of started, was in Crowley, Texas.
It's funny that your first love, we talked about this a little bit before, but your first love wasn't football. And now it's landed you here. And it was exciting to hear that your uncle also played at U of H, you said?
Yes, so I'm a family of 13. I don't want to get that wrong. Family of 13. My uncle Eddie, they call him Sweet Eddie. He played at the University of Houston. All my family are for Fifth Ward. All right, they went to Cashmere Gardens, called Fifth Ward. My daddy was well known. My daddy had a scholarship at TCU. Obviously, back then the rules were broken because of money situation. So my daddy's time at TCU cut short, but he did finish his degree. But his passion for his boys, me and my brother, because my brother played at the University of Missouri. That's the year they was really good. I think it was 2016. That's when they had Michael Sam, all those guys there, and they ended up they had a big year there. So I come from a background of it. My daddy TCU, my uncle again at U of H, and then my mom's side, I had uncles from Breckenridge, Texas, so country boys. So it's kind of like my family was built behind the game. So other than that, yeah.
So now today, you're coaching at Langham Creek. You played on the defensive side of the ball as well?
Yes. So you can play on both sides of the ball. That's just point. You always got to be accessible. So that's the key word today, is being accessible. So this is going to kind of guide into my journey all the way to my professional career. So that's the biggest thing, is always be a valuable piece to any type of program, any type of business. It all correlates together. So play both sides of the ball. That is a demand, that is a hope for, that you can't have a guy to play both sides of the ball. But for a small program, you don't have a choice. Back then it was wing tee, downhill, run game football. That's all it was. So I was an offensive guy and a defensive guy. And little no, Oscar Giles, UT. I don't know if y'all know Oscar Giles, who's at U of H now. He's a UT coach, but he was my recruiter who got me at U of H. And he wanted me as a defensive lineman. And Art Browse, my freshman year, my pride stuck in, my ego played its part, which we all have, because you're so stuck and gun hold on one thing, you don't understand the value of your talent. So obviously going into college my freshman year, man, Coach Giles was like, I'm not trying to lose him. I'm not trying to lose him. Art Browse wanted me on the offensive line. I was like, I did everything impossible to where I screw up drills because I did not want to play over the line. But my mindset wasn't thinking about it. I was just so stuck on just a narrow path, not thinking about other things that I bring value to my team. And I brought value to that. But I did everything I could not to play O-line. Eventually, they kept me on my freshman year. I ended up lifting up my red shirt, playing against TCU, my first sack. Man, that journey was perfect. From there, moving forward, I was able to be a captain, team captain, representing my team as my junior, my senior year. I was very vocal. And if you know me personally, man, I'm a fun guy, energetic, but that's always been me. I'm a guy in the hallway that's gonna get this thing going. We're gonna freestyle. We had chants going, like all those things I brought to a team, but I never thought the value of my game I should have brought to the team. So moving forward, going to Miami with the Dolphins, I was undrafted free agent. I didn't care at that moment, man. I just wanted to play, man. I just wanted to play the game. And my choice was to go to Miami because of my cousin at that time, Rex Hadnot, was there. But I would say it was still a good choice. So moving forward, guess what? They moved me to O-line. So I was undrafted as a defensive lineman going into like the last week of practice, going into preseason. And if you know, as a center, you gotta make all the calls. You gotta echo everything. So it plays a big, huge part. I was nervous. I wasn't understanding my value. I didn't take it as serious. And little to know, every time when I was undrafted, I made the team as a center, as a guard at center. That just goes off of my passion and my desire, my work ethic. But I didn't take time to study. So all it's going to guide into later in my career is be involved into these young athletes. And then from team to team, like when I went to New Orleans camp, guess what? I'm an O-line. I didn't never get a chance as defensive lineman. That still hurt my heart. But at the end of the day, just understand your value. So from New Orleans to the Tech, like all that, like every team I went to, I was a O-lineman. And my D-line career was over in 2006 after playing South Carolina in the championship. And I wish I would have took it serious when Art Browse moved me over my freshman year. So I don't know if that kind of asked the questions that's needed. So just understanding your value, I think that's the biggest thing, and knowing your worth, listen, be vulnerable to questions, be vulnerable to changes, and just go from the good from it. So, yeah.
I think what I loved most about what you were saying was the newspaper, Quay, because, I played basketball in high school and I grew up like looking in the paper in elementary to see, okay, who is in the paper. And so once I finally was on varsity, the big thing was you wanted double digits because then they print and publish your stats. So it was like, you better at least get 10 points, or if there were a lot of high scorers on the team, 10 wouldn't quite cut it. But really cool background.
My grandma had collections of McNeil football and basketball newspaper clippings that she would hold on to, which is so funny how different things have changed. But you talked a little bit too of that with recruiting. How different is it from when you got recruited by U of H to your kids getting recruited now?
I think the difference, it just depends your place and where you are. Now it's just how many stars you have. Then it was like first team all district, blue chipper. Like that was the name back then. Like now it's like people are just getting stars. So the recruiting level is a little bit different, but it's still the same because now we don't have to say pick and choose what is going to give me this NIL deal or this is going to happen. Instead of just going for the love of the game, for the passion of the game has changed a little bit in that sense. But I think in the standpoint of getting kids there, it's about the same. Obviously, just looking at the UT deal where they had the Lamborghinis, like stuff like that, man, it's pretty cool in the sense because you have some guys that come from places where they don't see that. And just to be able to see that and be like, man, that's what I want. You know what I mean? If I bust my tail, this is kind of the things I can possibly get, or I can surround myself around people like that. Again, it's beyond football, business standpoint. But besides that, the recruiting, I think in the standpoint of getting kids there, it's roughly about the same in the standpoint of going out to eat. Obviously, you have your girls that come up, cheer, like, oh, man, you know what I mean? So it was so many different images at that time for most players. And some players just go off of their heart and their desire, the drive to be able to go play for a program or maybe play for a coach. But it just depends because you have some that play for a coach and you have some that play for a program. So it's kind of like, what do you prefer? Or you play for the legacy of what they built? Like, what are you playing for? What's your purpose? What's your ultimate goal type of deal? Some you play with the legacy because your parents went there or somebody went there. You know what I mean? So it's so many recruiting angles to it, but I think it's about the same. My recruiting, what got me was Papados. I'm from Crowley, so all you have is Chicken Express. At that time, you had Brahms at that time, and the culture was different. You know what I mean? So it's country type of vibe, and I get to Houston, it's different. So the Papados, what got me, my mom was pissed because I walked in. I was like, Mom, she is bad. Like, I was like, man. And my mom was hot. She was like, you coming out here for the wrong reasons. I say, no, Mom, I'm coming for the right reasons. But neither here nor there, Oscar Giles was the main reason for my recruiting. I had a great relationship with him. Again, certain coaches, I went for Coach Browse, man, because he was very personable. He loved you, man. He really genuinely loved you. He always had certain things about a person. Like for me, it was hold up, man. He remembered that when I came on my trip, I said, hold up, baby. That was like that's my slogan. Every time I say, hold up, man, hold up, baby. And every time I talk to him this day, he's like, hold up, baby. So they gravitate towards you, and that's what got me at U of A. So every school is a little bit different in that sense. So.
I love that. I love your perspective of the recruiting and like how it looks today. Of course, we're not going to go on this tangent, but we've gotten a lot of comments about the Lamborghini stuff.
Yeah.
The number of people that have been like, I need you guys to talk about this on the pod. But I love how you looked at it and you said, you look at it as like a business deal and what that can mean for your future if you work hard. How do you instill that, at such a young age? Like, that's what I know will be hard. And like moving forward, these guys are coming from high school, and I try to remember what I was like at high school. So as a coach, like how do you talk to your kids and like talk about stuff like that?
I think continue to align the standards with the standards and whatever that may be. Recruiting like for Clemson is different from it can be from Bama. You know what I mean? From Texas State. Like at the end of the day, the one thing I like about recruiting now that everybody's on TV. So, I forgot we skipped over that because at that time, guess who was on TV? Televised. That was your selling point. UT, TCU, OU, Texas Tech. We think about the top 3 schools in Texas was TCU, Texas, and Texas Tech. What? We're national televised TV. That was a selling point for most people. Like I get to be on TV every day compared to going to Conference USA. Nobody really knows you. And the only time you're gonna be seen on TV was for the conference championship where we was, and it was on it was CTSV, but it wasn't like no NBC, it wasn't on ESPN. And then we played South Carolina, it was on ESPN. But the only time my family got to see me is when I went to TCU or if we made it in the championship, compared to these other people like Texas State can build a program because you get to be on televised TV every day now. Like it's so many avenues for TV. So I'm sorry, just to go back forward, but that is the change now. So in that standpoint, but back to everything, your standard is a standard because most of your kids that come from a program will come from a well-raised household. They understand and have those talks, that conversation with their parents. Like, what are you going for? Like, what is your ultimate goal? Like at the end of the day, you can go here and you still can lose your scholarship, no matter what. You know what I mean? So what is your ultimate goal when it comes to recruiting? Like everybody recruits different. So.
Speaking of Conference USA, so I wanted to touch on that a little bit. I know you've been at a lot of clinics, hanging out at UH, you always do, and have been supportive of them. Went to camp here recently. What's the energy on campus with the Big 12? I mean, I know the 4 of us were collectively tailgating together and attending the University of Texas game that was there this past fall, which was just like the ultimate opportunity. I'm a little bit sad that head-to-head kind of won't just be time now since we exited to go to SEC. But Quay, I mean, you mentioned CUSA. Compared that to the Big 12 and kind of the energy around the program for U of H and maybe some of the opportunities and investments and just the changes you're seeing.
I think again that brings the investment part of it, rebuilding the stadium. Like obviously you got to have a good look when we on television. I think the fan base for me, I was very personable to our fan base, and I still know certain people when I was there. They're diehard Cougars, and until the day you can go to tailgate, you still gonna see them. Pete Alley is the one, like, always, like, I always had like these cookies. It was the HEB cookies. I love them. Like, until this day, they still have them, right? But it's but going into now is the brand now is different. All right. So obviously in the Big 12, you got to have a certain image. You got to have a certain look. Our recruiting wise, you got to have a certain look. The locker room. We didn't have that. We had Robinson Stadium. We had to walk over to the stadium in our clothes. I'm talking about football clothes. That's how we was. And we sit down like in a little cubicle. It wasn't even that big. Coaches had to meet in a shower. All right. They didn't have a dressing room. We didn't have all that. After games, we walking straight back over. Like, the luxury of it is different, right? So I think now with the value of it, it brings a lot of value to U of H. The atmosphere is great. Sold out crowds. Again, it's been like that. Again, when I was there, we ended up having the highest the capacity standpoint of when we played that conference championship. That was the first sold out crowd in a while. I think since '96 when they had that championship. But my senior year, 2006, was the last time we had that sold out crowd until they built the new stadium. But it's good to have that vibe, the color red, the fans, the atmosphere. It's totally different now. So.
How do you think that, because you mentioned playing in the pros for a little bit, how do you think that U of H measures up to preparing kids and yourself for going to the next level?
I think it's different now because strength and conditioning was different. I'm not going into details, but my senior year, we had, and I'm gonna say we used to call it the little buddy. Little buddy when you don't know what you're doing. That was our saying back then. It was like a little thing where we did, man. Here come that little buddy, because but I say this, our strength and conditioning program changed when we got Larry Jackson and Chad Dennis, who came over from A&M, and they changed it. They brought NFL talent, they brought the NFL structure, understanding how to work on a pro day. I think now everything's aligned with how we move and how we operate is through the NFL system. Sound like once you become a senior, you get developed through pro day with either at your school or you go to someone else. But the dynamics of transitioning from college to the pros I think is an easy transition because of the workouts and how everything's aligned to everything now. So yeah, I think everything's aligned correctly. Scouts come now. Back then, man, we hardly got scouts. We were Conference USA. So when we had our pro day, we had scouts, but they wasn't all crossed around, like sitting around the room, the facility. So it's a lot different now, man. So yeah.
Yeah, you see that, but then at the same time, I think one of the big things that like the three of us have noticed is that the hometown team, the Texans, they sort of have an affinity for U of H. So even though there's Conference USA and all of that, you've got the Tank Dells, you've got
Yes.
the quarterback. I'm losing his name right now, but
yeah.
Ed Oliver's. Like, we got first round draft picks. Like, my best friend, the first time I seen somebody, obviously my cousin Rex and I got drafted, but good to see that. Then my best friend, Donnie A, was the first person I knew personally that got drafted in the second round of St. Louis. So it was like just seeing those things. And then Kevin Cobb, at my time, we had Kevin Cobb. My class, my 2006 year, we had the highest number of guys to go. I think we had two guys who went drafted, and then we had other guys who was undrafted, like Willie Gaston, the head coach at North Shore, Will Gully. We had Rocky Swartz. We had a group of guys that people still know that we're still close-knit. We had the highest rate to go to undrafted. And a lot of us made it, and some of us didn't because, again, your body takes a toll, a lot of battling injuries. But I think for us, that grit was a little bit different. Like, we had to go get it. You know what I mean? So compared to now, they have so many opportunities, so many avenues to be able to be successful. And if you're not successful now, man, that means you're really, really lazy, like really lazy. So yeah.
I mean, I was talking about this with Frank even after the pod last week, but you talked about recruiting and that they start recruiting so young, and you just said if you're not about it, you're late. But I mean, they start recruiting high school guys in middle school?
Junior, yeah, even junior high. You remember they have like guys that's like literally just because they're a social media buzz and they're very athletic. You have some that do that, and that's, again, that can be just like the show for it, or it can just be the pub for it, but it can be genuine. Like, I want this guy. He's might going to be nice once he get older. But yes, they do start in junior high. You have some that do start in junior high that start recruiting. And I think that's very important because that shows my loyalty to you. I believe in you. And I think that's really good because you have some they go to camps and feel like they got to do all this. Sometimes it's just seeing your feet work, seeing your hands, and seeing the tools and how you move. It's like, okay, he has something. Bring him to me. I'm going to polish him up. Like, you ain't got to go in there and think you got to do everything. They recognize talent when they see it, by the way. Sometimes by just the way you walk, your vocal, whatever it may be. So yeah.
Okay, so you just said a really important word to me, loyalty, which makes me think of now with transfer portal and NIL. How does loyalty now play a factor in these kids coming into college?
Because again, are kids playing for the program? Are they playing for the coach? And that goes back to that. Like, I'm gonna go to, because at that time I'm gonna go to UT because I'm a diehard UT guy, like OU, because you got kids that's diehard. I love it. You know what I mean? I'm just speaking on people. I'm just speaking on my experience when you're young. For me, with TCU, I'm gonna go to TCU. I love TCU. No matter what, I'm gonna grind it out. So for these kids, it's an easy access now to say, okay, well, I'm not happy here. I'm going to get into the portal, and it might work for me. So it's stepping out on faith, right? And that's what they're thinking. Or they got too many people in their ears. Instead of putting them earbuds on, they got too many people in their ears, and they losing the value of who they are. They was this 5-star kid. You got a lot of 5-star kids that never got drafted. You got a lot of All-Americans that never got drafted. But it's those 2 stars, 3 stars, are the ones that do shine. They stick where they are. That's why I love. That's why I do love program kids. Not to get off course, but I love program kids because they're all about the program. But for kids that do get an NIL deals, I think sometimes listen to your heart, speak to yourself, and stop listening to the outside noise, because sometimes might be the wrong choices. Man, I know a kid right now that I had younger and started listening to the outside noise, and now he's at his 3rd school. You know what I mean? I love him to death, but it's like, dude, sometimes just listen to people that's been there, that understand you, and say, man, just stick it out, even in just 3 years. That's why I love Jalen Monroe, the quarterback at Alabama. Yeah, I was at Cinco. That dude was a dog. And seeing him at Tompkins High School, all-around athlete, all about the team, coachable, good person, all around. Alabama, guess what he do? Grind it out. Now he's going in, I think it was the 3rd year, he finally get the opportunity. That says a lot. So people like that, I love to see. Now you have other ones that do got to make that change, and it works out the best for them. But man, start listening, sit down, listen to yourself. Let your heart speak to you. Stop thinking with your head before your heart. And listen to yourself. Understand your value. Question yourself if you did what was needed. Waking up when you're supposed to. Holding yourself accountable to those things. Is it too hard because I got to go to class? Or if I got this schedule from 6:30 a.m. all the way to 10 p.m.? Or do I just rather go party? Or do I just want to relax? Or I'm going to fall in love with the process, right? Being held accountable, loving those things. So it all varies and everybody's different. It works out for some, it don't work out for most, because you got guys that went to their 3rd school and guess what? They done. They go from a Alabama and now they had nothing against it, to a Sam Houston, right? Why you make that choice of Sam Houston at the beginning? Why I took that journey, you know? So yeah. So just understanding your value.
Yeah, you said understanding your value as well, like when you got moved to the O-line, or those changes as well. How do you transition those thoughts now to being a coach and driving that into your players?
We think about the word practice. So what adjective is in practice? I'm asking y'all. Practice. The word practice. What adjective is it? How act, right? So act like a champion, right? So we think about practice like a champion, act like a champion, right? So cliche it is integrity, right? Walking around with a sense of urgency, right? Walking around with the ability to know that this is what I want to do. I love it, and I'm gonna stick to it. So I think that's the biggest thing, is act like a champion away and while in football. So yeah, answer that question.
Well, this is the Texas football pod. So we're wondering, what are your thoughts on the squad going into this year?
Your thoughts?
Yours.
Oh, you talking about UT? Y'all?
Yeah. What you thinking? What's the ceiling?
Well,
What we gonna
I
do?
like Sarkeesian, and I like the patience because I know it's tough to be. I ain't gonna say tough, but I know you got to have the desire and the heart to listen. Again, listen to yourself, believe in what you have, believe in the coach you want to build. Because guess what? Guess what? It takes 3 to 4 years to build what you want, right? And now he's moving in a way that he should, right? He has the right people. He has people around. I ain't gonna never say right, but he has the people around in this place that he is holding the standard, maybe to the coaches that's going to align to where they're trying to go, right? That championship mentality, right? Act like a champion. Learning how to win a day each day. That's used in every type of program. Learn how to win a day every day. So now it's kind of like now you get to see other sides of the other side of him, and hopefully that now he brought the right pieces this year can be the year for them in so many different ways, right? So, man, UT always been an elite program. Always had athletes. Always had studs. They did things. I ain't gonna never say they did things right way because I don't know, but they did the things what was needed to hold that program to a high standard and live by the expectations. So I feel like he's going to do what he needs to do to lead that program. He got the people around him he's going to hold accountable, and I think they're going to do well this year. Maybe they will get in the playoffs. I'll say that. They will get in the playoffs.
Yes,
we love
I
to
will
hear
say
it.
that. Because again, it takes those 4 years, man. It takes that group to get my recruits, dive into that portal, whatever it may be. I'm locked in now, right? I'm comfortable, taking a deep breath. Maybe there's no pressure on him. Like, this is what I'm going to do. I don't care if you feel like you're going to fire me because it's every 5 years you feel like somebody's new at UT. Like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it all I got, all out, and let's see how this thing going to unfold, you know?
Well, we had Frank on the pod last week, and he said, because, making the playoff this year, it's expanded, of course, Quay, that we're going from the four team to the 12 team. So absolutely, if we don't make the playoff, we got different problems at our school. But we already made the top 4 last year. So
Yes.
Frank's thought was, if we do not win the championship, he didn't say go into it. He said, if we don't win, then that puts Sark in the hot seat. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think we're an automatic lock for top 4 again?
I think you're automatic lock for top 4, but I think it's no pressure for Sarkeesian because he's coming from a program. He sat down for a while, remember that? And he had to relook life, like relooking himself in the mirror. And so I'm assuming right when he stepped in that building, he come with a different desire, different passion, like be aligned with me or get off the trail. And I think those guys fall in the line. I think he's very personable. Again, I like his style. I like his demeanor. You can tell that he loves his players. He embraces the players. He embraces the culture. And he's going to do it his way. Because a lot of people say it's the Longhorn way. Longhorn way, you get caught in the Longhorn way. But what is the Longhorn way? Because the Longhorn way was a certain way when the coach was there at that time. I'm sorry, I got a blank head. Mac Brown, right? That was the Longhorn way, right? You know what I mean? But what is the Sarkeesian way, right? So when you walk in, what is his motto? What is his saying, right? So he has his way, and I think they're going to be top 4. I win the championship, correct? So that's the opportunity to compete for the championship, right? And once they get there, they're going to understand what's going to happen because nobody knows what goes behind the closed doors. It can be from an injury. It can be from, I had to let this player sit out because of class. Like, it's so much that goes into a coach trying to build a culture. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you're dependent on 17-year-old, 18-year-olds to 21-year-olds to be there mentally prepared every day. So it's on that coaching staff, not just him, but on that coaching staff to hold those guys accountable each day and how they are and make sure they locked in on each game, no matter if they playing the bottom of the barrel. Like, don't let nothing slip up, right? And I think that's a lot of things. Don't let those little games slip up on you because that can hurt you, right? So like the Appalachian State, like, don't let games like that slip up. Not saying you're supposed to dominate them, but go out there and win that thing, right? You know what I mean? So, yeah. Does that make sense?
It does.
100%.
All right, gotcha.
100%. We're taking it all in.
Yes.
And just like U of H transitioning now into the Big 12, this is going to be our year in the SEC. Who do you think is going to be our toughest opponent?
I think each opponent will be your toughest opponent because you prepare differently. I'm gonna just keep it real, like each year, because again, it's always the bottom barrel teams that beat you early, right? And not again, when you're some programs are very successful early because you might not know who the OC is. It might be a new OC, might need to do DC. So every game is important. Every game is tough, right? Because now it's like mentally if I'm finna go play like a Sam Houston, if I'm gonna go play like a Sam, again, nothing wrong with these schools, right? If I'm gonna go play a Division II team, don't treat them like a Division II team, right? So it's just a mentality check at the door. Check your mentality, check your ego, and check your pride at the door, dog. And understand what we done in practice, right? Because what I think practice again develops good habits and it erases the bad, right? So stick to how you practice. Keep that love for the impact, the desire for the game, and don't lose sight of the whole journey, right? Game by game, day by day type of deal. Don't worry about championship, day by day, snap by snap, right? So, yeah.
We can tell you're a coach. And that's probably the best answer I've heard for that question, considering you're probably very correct. The SEC, we're going to be the rookies to the league. So between us and OU, they come in at our necks every single weekend,
Yes.
week out. They definitely are going to want to beat us every year, but this first inaugural year is going to be something else. So it's going to be fun to kind of buckle up and watch.
Oh yeah, I think it's gonna be exciting. Again, and sometimes you just got know you're a player. When they step on the road on the deal, just go whisper in their ear. And I'm not cousin. You're a BA. Like just tell those whatever it would mean. You gotta whisper into a person's ears. Tell those things, man. You gotta boost up those guys' confidence. You gotta sometimes reevaluate their energy level. Like understand the value of each rep, and I think that's very important because every day creates an opportunity. So I think they're gonna be on top, man. I think again he's gonna do what he do. I like Sarkisian just because of who he is, and I know that he's a personable guy. And he's gonna get that thing done. Again, it's Sarkisian way. It's not it's Sarkisian way, and that's how we do it, right? Because somebody new come in is gonna be their way, right? So that's kind of how I look at it.
You said something earlier that made me so happy. When you were listing back in the day who the top teams in Texas were, you did not mention A&M.
Oh, I'm
Love you
sorry.
for
I
that.
was just rambling. Oh
Truly
yeah.
love you for that.
Yes. No, A&M for sure. 12 man. Hey, that is at the end of the day, that is what it is. 12 man is always going to be known. That's the legacy right there. So I'm sorry about that. Yeah. So yes, A&M too. All right, my DC was at A&M at that time. So, but yeah, A&M too. So
It's okay. We have to play them this year, Quay.
yes,
So we can downplay that, talk about
yes,
every
no
team that's
doubt.
about to come for us this year. And
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. Like we are known for playing, I don't want to say down to our, like we're known to match our opponents, like who we know we're about to play, what can happen. And I've seen that change over the last, I want to say like year and a half, maybe, where it is like the Sark way and what he's used to. Like, no, you go out there and you play your best and you beat them however
Yes.
you need to beat them. Like,
Yes.
if they've scored 0, that's okay. So that's what we definitely have to go into the SEC with that mentality this year.
I'm
I
so
love it.
excited about A&M. I am because I mean, let's be real. They're a little bro. Like you are not the rivals. You are fun to play for Thanksgiving week every year. And I gotta be honest, like they're not our rivals. I'm sitting here watching them play baseball yesterday on TV and I'm rooting them on. I'm not mad. I want them to beat Oregon or whatever. If that was OU, probably feel a little
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody asked me that the other day, like who out of A&M and OU, who's the biggest? I was like, is that even a question?
Not
Is
a
that
question.
No.
Not a question.
No,
Yeah.
not a question. Yeah, OU was the dog. That's when I had Adrian Peterson. And we scored. We had kicked a field goal, and we was hyped. And then once Adrian Peterson got out there his freshman year, next thing you know, like 53. And I was like, man, yeah, OU was that deal. TCU was that deal. We didn't get to play A&M. I always wanted to play TCU, and then we didn't. But at that time, they probably that's when they had VY and all that. They was rocking. So
You know what that brings me back to, Quay? Were you in the building? I think it was 2018. It was actually Tom Herman was coaching U of H, and y'all got
yes,
the dub over OU, and that was
yes,
just the best experience ever. I was at that game, and of course excited because we hired Tom literally right after that.
yeah. Man, it was like Tom, he came in, he embraced the culture. And he was a great salesman. Like he got the city involved. You know what I'm saying? Like he was different. The kissing on the cheek, like all that stuff, I'm pretty sure like that was him. You know what I mean? Some people might look at it, but he showed that I love you, I'm for you, I'm gonna go through a brick wall. Let's go out here, man, and hold ourselves accountable. And I think he did that. I wish he would have stayed because I know at the time money wise, but I understand your dream job is UT. Again, when you're going to UT for the long far way, go your way. You know what I mean? But again, Tom Herron did his thing at U of H, man. I was outside looking, I didn't know him personally, but I love the fact that he had that thing rocking.
It reminds me of the NIL and portal thing. Like you got to know when you're in the right position. And I totally agree that for Tom Herman, I wish he would have stayed at U of H too. Glad he got the opportunity at Texas and whatnot, but I think that was the perfect market situation. He had, you know, the momentum behind him, and it would have been awesome to see more of his reign at U of H for sure.
Exactly, exactly. I wish but at the end of the day, you make a choice. Again, he was moving with his heart. I think that was more the heart desired it. He said, I can go here and change it. But sometimes it might not be the best fit. You might not be best for them, but you're probably the best fit for those players. It might not have been the best fit of what the office wanted to see. You know what I mean? Again, I'm outside looking in. So he's the best fit for somewhere else. You know what I mean? I think he's at FAU right now, right? I think so. So yeah. So he's where he needs to be, and eventually he'll stay there and do what he needs to do.
All right, so we've talked about all of these teams and coaches and getting recruited. So of course, Langham Creek is a part of Cy-Fair ISD. Devin graduated from Cy-Fair High School. I graduated from Jersey Village High School. So all a part of Cy-Fair ISD. So we're curious on your thoughts of how the talent is today through Cy-Fair ISD. And do you think they're going to be coming to Texas anytime soon?
I think, well, we have one that just went to Texas, our tight end, Jordan Washington. He's at UT, so he was part of this past class. But I feel like the talent pool is always going to be there. I obviously keep building all these schools, and I always say, what if we just really just stay with 8 schools? How good Cy-Fair and how competitive Cy-Fair district, not just Cy-Fair, but Cypress Fairbanks, right? Cypress Fairbanks. How good could we possibly be once we get to the playoffs, right? But you keep building up these schools, and the thing is, your talent's starting to spread out, right? So, but I think the talent pool is always going to be there. There's great tradition, especially at Jersey, especially at Cy-Fair. I think probably by far the most traditional school there is, right? In the standpoint, they die hard. I think outside, like almost like the Red School, Katy, like in Katy ISD district. But I think the talent pool is always going to be there, and I love it. It's very competitive, but hopefully we can be dominant to where we can make it past on a consistent basis, like the Dallas schools, Dallas ISDs, to the 4th round, 5th round state titles, like, right? Don't be just satisfied with making to my district, right? To the 1st round, 2nd round, right? So we can continue to be competitive.
I love that. Yeah, we have a Cy-Fair quarterback coming in, and now Langham tight end, and it has.
He's legit. That quarterback is legit.
Yeah, Trey. Yeah.
Yeah, he's legit.
Keep the pipeline coming.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I was personally proud of Trey at the spring game because, you know, he's coming in 3rd string, of course, rightfully so right now, but to be able to represent the area was so cool. And I think he shocked a lot of the viewers that day. And Quay, I love that you mentioned sort of talking about the area of Cy-Fair, because there really is so much talent. And I have to point out, Cy-Fair is the first and the best. So that all
already.
But the point is, it is hard to compete against Dallas whenever we've got 16 high schools in the district, and we are still going to state with so many squads in the district in multiple sports. Imagine if we were allowed in that area to create just an all-star squad, if you will. The area dominates on its own without those rules in place, but I think it definitely has to be said and shared.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Yeah, by far do have the daddies over there of this world. All right. And I think South Springs has an opportunity. They got some athletes over there, but again, it's hard to build a culture when you divide those junior highs, man. And so I think right now, the standards kind of met where everything's already been in a standstill of where the junior highs go. So we shall see how this looks for us. Right. We got Waller now in our district too. So
okay. Like in your playoff district.
No, yes, not playoff district.
Got it.
Yes.
Do you have any last words you want to leave us with today?
Oh yeah. It was funny. I was going back to my archives, and I went to Tarkin. I don't know if you know where Tarkin is. Tarkin, Texas.
No.
All right. It's like going past, almost going all the way out there to Thelmawood, like out in that area.
Oh, okay.
It's a small town. So they was Longhorns, right? So I got on there and I posted a picture, and everybody thought it was going to UT because everything's just the right? But going out there again to the small town vibe, I am a person that can come up with sayings, right? Chants. Again, I'm the hype man that's going to get you going, right? So I'm going to kind of leave it with this. Obviously when you think of a Longhorn, you think of a prairie, right? The prairie, right? So what I used to say was, good afternoon, fellas, and I say, good afternoon, coach. All right. Welcome to the prairie, where the pastures are green and the Longhorns love to play. Our legs are built to cover great distance. We are known for our aggressive nature and stamina. Survival of the fitness, baby. We adapt to our environment. We are sound in mind and body. Our horns stretch out in great length to mark our presence. Now let it be known, hook 'em, not looking left or right, but be focused ahead. This is the prairie, home of the Tarkin in Texas. Give two claps and Ric Flair, we throw it to Longhorns. And it made me think of that when I got on this. I said, this would be great. Because when you think of a Longhorn, you think of a prairie, right? The horns stick out straight, out wide to mark our presence. So I had to share that for y'all along with folks.
Love that.
Amazing.
And we got him to say hook 'em. Woo!
Yeah, I won't do it too much, right? Go cool. Yeah. So, I do appreciate y'all, ladies. Y'all doing a great job. I think, especially with this women platform, especially with the college y'all went to, y'all represent. I think y'all doing a great deal. Obviously, social media is a great platform to be able to spread y'all love for, especially women. Again, y'all are the reason why we are here, right? You are what? We are knit from your womb, right? So the fact that y'all have the desire and the love for the game of football, but just sports overall, because obviously y'all go to all sports and y'all love it, and it's not just strictly football. So y'all keep this up, man, and I can't wait to see how much your social media buzzes, especially when the season rolls. Y'all doing a heck of a job, and you just don't know where God gonna lead y'all from this path, but y'all have the heart and desire for it. So
Amen to that.
Amen.
yeah.
Thank you.
All right, ladies. Appreciate y'all.
Sweet. Thanks for your time.
All right. See
Bye.
ya.
Bye.